Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
1, 2.
There he goes again. It is the Bob Sullivan Show on Late Night Sports Radio.
Yo, the sun don't shine forever, but as long as it's here, then we might as well shine together. Better now than never. Business before pleasure. P. Diddy and the fam, who you know do it better. Yeah, right, no matter what, be airtight. So when you hear something, make sure you hear it right. Don't make an ass out of yourself by assuming our music keeps you moving. What are you proving? You know that I'm 2 levels above you, baby. Love me, baby. I'ma make you love me.
I am joined here at hour number 1 by Antoine Staley of BleacherReport.com. Antoine, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Just another day to paradise called Omaha, Nebraska. One thing that has come up that you did this week was an open letter to Chris Rock. Your open letter was telling him, saying how they're letting off blacks. You broke it down into the thing to do with who's playing baseball, who's not. Tell us a little bit about your open letter to Chris Rock and, what he said that kind of sparked your interest in him.
I'll start with what kind of got my attention. Just kind of the whole thing about baseball needs to be more black, and it's dying. That's really the main things that really struck a chord with me. And I was like, one, baseball is not dying. It's the second most popular sport in the country. Obviously, the NFL football is number 1, and 2, how does baseball become more black? I'm like, that was really the puzzle, and I even addressed that in the article. I was like, what do you mean by being more black? Do you think they should have more black celebrities at the game? Do you think they should have women, black women like a hip hop video shaking their booty every half inning? Like, what? I don't understand what he means by more black. Like, yeah, it could be more black as far as like have more African Americans in it, but at the same time, baseball is growing. It's especially in the Hispanic community, and that's fine. It's a lot of factors on why blacks don't play baseball anymore, and he failed to really acknowledge why they're not playing baseball anymore, and it's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot of factors to it.
Well, yeah, I don't think people truly understand what it's not just black people that are stopping playing baseball. It's not even white people, white athletes are gravitating towards basketball and football. But look at baseball. I don't think people understand, like, okay, schools and programs don't cover it. Like, baseball is not a cheap sport to play. I mean, exactly. Yes, you go down to the Dominican Republic, and they're playing stickball in their bare feet, and, their shorts, and that's it.
And he addressed that in the article too. And I'll say this too. It's a lot more to do here as opposed to like we're more privileged than people in the Dominican Republic. So that's what they do as far as pastime. That's all they have. Like we have like video games and TV and other stuff. Like people don't go out and play spitball anymore like they used to. Even when I was like younger.
Well, then you look at. Well, look at basketball. You just need shoes and a basketball. You can go at a local park. You get, with football, you basically show up to the, Pop Warner League or whatever. Everything's pretty much taken care of with fundraising and stuff. Baseball, you need a bag, you need gloves, you need cleats, you need a hat. I'm looking at, I coach high school baseball. There's not all that stuff is covered. We have things set up so that kids who can't, families that have trouble paying, they can, we work with them. But you look around. It's not a cheap sport to play, and so that makes it tougher in more cities to get these kids involved.
Okay.
And not to mention, watching it is one thing, playing it is another. I can understand there's a lot more kids with like ADHD these days, or they play video games or whatever. If they want something that's in your face, nonstop action, and baseball is not that. Standing in left field for half an hour innings really can wear on you. So I do understand why baseball is, players-wise is dying, but it's not just in the African-American community. It's in the white community. It's all Americans, but it's growing in Japan, Asia, and Central America, and it keeps on growing. Eventually, it's just going to be Central Americans and Asian players in the major leagues, and white and black players are going to be the minority. Is that pretty accurate?
They already are. They already are the minority. 60% of baseball is Caucasian sport. About 29% is Hispanic, and then around 90% is black. So African American, however you want to phrase it, but yeah, they're already a minority, and Asians is right around 2% or so, a little bit above 2%. So yeah, it's already a minority. So it is what it is, and like I say, it's fine. Like not everybody's gonna like baseball, and I put that in the article, and it is what it is. Like you can't. What do you want people want to speed it up, but at the end of the day, it's baseball. Like either you're gonna like it or you don't. Like it's nothing. You can try to speed it up all you want to, but at the same time, I mean, it plays a certain way on TV, just like golf. Golf is, very slow on TV. When you get out there and play it, it's a much different sport. Or even when you're out there watching it, it's different. But it's going to be what it is, especially on television. There's nothing much you can do about to change that. Only thing baseball can really do to promote its brand better, get more popularity is one, have a definitive black star, and I think that would help to promote the game better. And two, just help know who the stars are in baseball. Like in football, like my mom doesn't watch football, and she knows who Tom Brady is and Peyton Manning. If I ask my mother who's in baseball right now, she wouldn't know. She probably know Derek Jeter, but he's retired. So I don't think the person, people that don't watch the game don't necessarily know who the stars are, and that's really a big issue.
Well, see, that's the one thing, baseball. I think that the new commissioner, Rob Manfred, is he seems a little more progressive. And, and the thing is, NBA is number 3 as far as pro sports go, but they're definitely number 1 in how they market their players.
There's no question, because the reason the NBA is number 1, because you can see the person's face. NFL is as far as like popularity, but I tweeted out a picture. Like I was at the Dolphins training camp, press conference the other day, and Kenny Stills just happened to walk by, and people were like, "Who is that?" Like people don't know who the players are because they're hidden behind a helmet. So that's the biggest thing the NFL has, but it's nothing they can do about that.
Well, and in the NFL, you couldn't. Other than like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, you really put a lineup of, I guarantee you put a lineup of like the top 100 players in the league, you just line them all up and you tell somebody to name each one of them. I think you'd be lucky if people got 60. I think if you got 60%, if you could get 60% of who they are, you'd be lucky because they got the helmets on. I like Calvin Johnson. I couldn't pick him up. I've seen him. He did that Watts commercial or that Chrysler commercial or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that's what Calvin Johnson looked like. They always have the helmets on. Other than the quarterbacks, you can't really. The NFL, I don't really think markets their players very well, and it's unfortunate because they have the shortest shelf life of all sports, really.
No, and the thing about the league is, it's kind of like, like your favorite, kind of like liquor brands to an extent. Like it kind of sells itself. So they they don't need the promotion like the NBA maybe does. So it just kind of sells itself. Like they're at the level now. They're gonna be popular anyway, whether the faces are or not. I want them to be it depends on who the fans are. Like me and you. Like we would get I would get a lot of names. Like we would get a lot of the names right, but a lot of the people, like the casual fans that just happen to watch their favorite team or favorite player, they wouldn't. I'm willing to bet you line up 100 players, they'd be lucky to get 10 of them. We just talking about the casual fans.
Well, yeah, I would say they'd be lucky to get 10 of them, or even 5 if you took out the quarterbacks. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, if you take out the quarterback, I bet you they wouldn't know who the offensive linemen were. They would barely know who the skill position players are. Yeah,
But well, with baseball, I think they never really. The unfortunate thing is it's kind of a, like when C.C. Sabathia was at the top of his game, or Ryan Howard was at the top of his game, or Jimmy Rollins was winning the MVP, when the Phillies were winning the World Series and their 2 best players were African American. I think that, I don't think baseball really cares, not that they don't care about the African American community watching the baseball, getting that audience, but I don't think they were capitalizing on opportunities to really further expand their brand, because right now it's kind of yes, it's number 2, but I don't think it's shrinking. The number of fans is shrinking, but I don't think it's expanding either. I think it's kind of standing pat as far as growth goes, and it's because they don't know how to market their stars to the different communities that you could market them to.
I agree. I just think it's just gonna, and I think the bigger issue, if you want to get technical, it could be, the amount of, fans in the stands. What do they look like? I root for the Red Sox, and I can honestly tell you that I've been to Fenway Park, and I can point out, normally I can usually pick out how many, people of color on one hand. That's just the reality of it. And, I think that's a bigger issue than the players themselves. The players are going to come and go. I mean, you're going to have players of color and blacks and things like that. I think that's going to stay the same. But yeah, I think the fans, in general, getting more fans interested is the bigger thing.
This next question is a little risky, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Okay, so when I was in high school, if somebody chose to play soccer over baseball, we just call them the grass fairy or something like that. Do you think that there's anything to that? Now, it's not soccer to baseball, but do you think there's any of that in the African American community with calling, a black kid wants to go play baseball? Do you think that there's any name calling in the African American community towards the black kid who wants to go play baseball, which is, perceived now as a predominantly white sport? Do you think there's any of that kind of hinders, that scares off players, not players from wanting to go play with white kids, but it scares them off from not being, street cred or something like that? Do you think there's any of that in the black community?
Yeah, Chris Rock said it. So yeah, I think, not saying he's the authority on what's going on, but yeah, I think I tell people I love baseball, and people say, oh, it's a white sport. Same thing with hockey. They don't understand. Some black people feel like, it has to be a lot of black people. I mean, a lot of black people, they take basketball and football their own because it's predominantly, black. And hockey and baseball, some people just feel like it's catered to white. I had a person hit me up on Twitter today. She didn't like the article. She specifically said baseball was set up for as a white sport. I didn't understand it, but I just it was like whatever. But that's kind of what she said. She said it was a white sport. So you get a lot of that. I love hockey too. My thing is I don't watch the sport because of the people that are in it, like the race, the color of race. I watch it because I enjoy it. Some people just watch it because they can identify with, a particular person or a race. That's kind of what it boils down to.
Black people don't factor in that the NFL and NBA, white people don't take into account NASCAR and hockey and baseball. What do you think, if people didn't see race, what do you think the most popular sport in America would be right now?
If it was just considering the black people would
strictly with the race, what do you think the most popular sport in America would be?
Oh, it'd still be football. It'd still be football. I think, everybody's passion is football around in America for the most part. So I still think it was football. Basketball would be number 2. Like, when I tell people that baseball's the number 2 sport, some people, they get surprised. They're like, what? Like, how is that number 2? Like, I've never watched baseball. I'm like, just because you don't doesn't mean everybody else is. Everybody doesn't. Baseball is as popular as it's ever been, but some people don't understand that. But yeah, definitely be basketball. Outside of that, I guess I'll have to say boxing or something like maybe college football. I don't know if you want to call that, a specific sport, but baseball will be down the line a little bit. I think baseball, and as far as like blacks, is kind of like falling into the same category as tennis, because like you said earlier, it costs money to play those sports, and not everybody can do it. And this as well, like scholarships is a big issue as well. Not a lot, when you're an athlete in college, like not a lot of people get full scholarships in baseball, and I don't think other people understand that.
Well, yeah, I don't think. See, I look around and there's like, college football, they give out all these full scholarships, and basketball give out, they get, I think, 12 or something like that, and football gets like 52 or whatever.
Well, they have 85 scholarship players on roster.
Well, in baseball, I think, you look around, like Nebraska baseball, I think has, I don't know how many scholarships they have, but what they have to do is give out a bunch of these quarter scholarships, tell the kids to come out, and if they don't make it, it's like, okay, see you later, you're off the team, you have to go find a new school to go to, which is kind of sad. I mean, that's the way it is, but it's not just baseball. I mean, it's probably having the volleyball, women's sports all over the place. But with baseball, I mean, it's definitely, it's number 2 pro-wise, number 3 at the very highest in college sports. You look at it, and it's like, I don't know how you can't. It's tough to monetize on baseball because, I mean, if you're in northern state, it starts too early. The season starts too early. They start the season in like February, and northern schools can't start playing play have home games until the middle of April because there's still snow, it's still cold, they don't know what the weather's going to be, so they have to go down south and play all these games. Northern the north state who's won back national titles. I mean, if you're not in the South, you're pretty much you're a guy.
Or the West.
You can win.
Yeah, South or the West. Like that's where you usually see a lot of the teams out. The very skilled teams like the SEC is a big conference in baseball, and the Pac-12 and the Big 12. You can add them in as well. ACC as well. Some of the ACC schools are really good, but other than that, I mean, you don't really see a lot of Big 10 teams that have fielded good baseball teams. That's just the reality of it.
Well, you're going to start seeing too. I mean, you look at Colorado has never picked up a baseball program. Iowa State has never picked a baseball program, but you're going to start seeing not only football programs in the major college football, like UAB drops football. You're going to also see some big time schools start dropping base too. Like I could see it coming in, in the Big Ten. Not that those are big time college baseball programs, but they're going to start dropping some baseball, I assume, because there's not money for it, and there's not money to be made. It's a sustainable sport because it's a men's sport. You can't drop a women's program. That's just the nature of the beast. You can't drop a women's program, so what are you going to drop in? And that's kind of expensive. Baseball, because it doesn't make any money. That's what's going to start happening. More and more these schools are going to drop baseball.
Yeah, you're gonna drop the programs that are not making the most money. Like just kind of like UAB and football. Like Alabama, football. In football, the state of Alabama, everybody knows what it pretty much revolves around. Auburn and Alabama. And everybody else just kind of trying to get in where they fit in. So the UAB program, they're a good basketball program as if you watch the NCAA tournament, you know. But football just hadn't been successful recently, so they feel like we don't have attendance. Yeah, we're just gonna cut the program. Same thing with baseball. I mean, baseball is not a very popular sport in college, so you have some programs that are very popular, but you know, it's a sport where you have to understand which channel I couldn't even tell. I had to tell people like college baseball comes on, and like people wouldn't even know what channel it came on unless you like a diehard fan. Like I know because, like I say, I sit there and watch it every now and then, but a lot of people they have no idea college baseball is even on TV.
Dude, you got to get some website or somebody to cover you to come to the College World Series.
We need to, because ESPN even, you know, they try to do it, but it's not enough. Like they need to have somebody do it year round. Like
it's like a hockey game. You got to be there.
Yeah. They need to have it on, like, if it's a big game, they need to cover it, like, big regular season game. Oh, okay, this guy. I think people will be more interested in college baseball if people were, like, if you see the lineups, you say, oh, okay, this guy's a Red prospect of the Red Sox, or this guy got drafted by such and such team out of high school. And I think people would then become a little bit more interested. Now you just got people that don't know who the hell they are. That's really the main thing.
Right. Well, I think it was, before we put the break, I think it was maybe, I would say 5 years ago, but I think I was in high school, so it was probably like 10 years ago. I remember when they had, like, every weekend they would have a big series, like a rivalry series on ESPN. Like, they'd have the 3-game series between, like, Ohio State and Michigan. A 3-game series between Miami and Florida State. They had that a few years back. They got rid of it. I don't know. Obviously, they got rid of it because of ratings. I love that. They had it for 1 year. It was probably in like 05, 06 or something. It was really cool. I wish they would bring that back. I think you could generate some interest. You want what's going to happen. You're going to have to get rid of one showing of Dan Levitard is highly questionable. I mean, that's fine. So I would like to, I think ESPN, if they could get back into that, you know, put on an entire series over the weekend on ESPN too. I think that would be kind of cool to bring that back because those were always fun.
Yeah, I think they definitely, I mean, instead of putting the games on ESPNU, I think you can put some games on ESPN and, you know, I know, like I say, when it's the baseball season and we got the NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs, and nobody really, you know, a lot of people don't care about baseball. But I know, I tell you, there's a lot of people turn on ESPN when they get home, and if it's on there, they're more inclined to watch it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and take our first break here on Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. If you want to call in, the call-in number is 585-633-7487. And we will be right back here with Antoine Staley from BleacherReport.com.
Something shines in your eyes tonight. Baby, there's no need to lie tonight. I see your lips out on fire. Oh, baby, I want you to be mine. Catch me, baby, I'm waiting for you. So come on, break the rules. The time is right, the time's tonight. Let it start and you won't stop.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
He's not compensating for anything. He just doesn't care. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on latenightsportsradio.com.
I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls go by.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here on latenightsportsradio.com. I am joined here in hour number one, again, by Antoine Staley of BleacherReport.com. Antoine, okay, well, UFC-wise, should we be a tad concerned? One, okay, the War Machine, or whatever the hell his name is, beat the crap out of Christy Mack. She's had kind of a comeback now. She's, doing well. he, put a pretty good charge into her. He's going to go to jail for a while, and then now this John Bones Jones issue with him taking cocaine and then having a hit and run with cocaine in his possession. Looks like he might go to prison for a little bit. Are we starting to see a little bit of a chink in the armor in the UFC that these kind of already what we would perceive as insane people bringing their insanity out into the real world, that this could be kind of an issue for UFC going forward?
I think it's two isolated situations. You start with War Machine, like that's just a guy that just a horrendous actor, really he just something you just don't want to see, like especially to a woman. And she's definitely making I think people sympathize with her despite what she does, and that's really helping her out in a way, even though I know she wishes that the whole incident didn't happen. But I just think people really sympathize with her, and that's kind of helping her become more famous and kind of bringing up her notoriety. As far as Bones, that really does hurt UFC, because that's this biggest star right now. With Silver, not being, the fighter that he used to and getting older, John Bones Jones is really the guy you think of when you think of UFC. So I think, him losing him and him having possible jail time, that definitely tarnishes the sport a little bit. And, they're going to have stars that are going to come and go, but that's your biggest star in the brand right now. So, of course, it's going to be a hit to the product.
See, it's got to be it's tough because, they might be two isolated incidents, but it's just, I don't know. Boxing, there's, you have the guys getting hit in the head constantly. I don't think that it takes nearly as much insanity to go box that it does. I mean, it's just a whole nother level of insanity to go basically. It's like, okay, go almost kill this other guy to a certain extent. I know that, once you separate the person from the octagon, it might be a little different, but I don't know. I still feel like, giving these guys the weapons, it's almost like training them to be like Marines or something. I don't think every guy like that is in UFC is like that, but if we start seeing more and more incidents of these violent acts, stupidity with drugs and stuff like that, Dana White's going to have some issues. I mean, he's already got two issues on his hands. This starts to climb. You might see boxing start to creep back into the picture. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think the big thing that's hurt boxing is really just the fact that the interest and really the start. Like, with the starter we have is really Floyd Mayweather, and I don't think people necessarily want to get behind him. And really, the country loved heavyweight boxers. When I was, like I say, I don't make it sound like the old man, even though I'm not. But when I was growing up, the heavyweight division was still pretty strong. You had Mike Tyson was still, there, and even after Tyson left, you still had Holyfield, and you had Riddick Bowe come in, had like a brief, stay, and Michael Moore and George Foreman made his comeback, and Lennox Lewis a little bit later. But now, I don't think anybody really knows who the heavyweights are other than the Klitschko's. So, and then we don't have necessarily American boxer to get behind. So I think that's what's really hurt boxing. Even though I love the sport, I still watch it, religiously every time it's on HBO, and I'll watch the fight from somewhere, the Mayweather fight this Saturday. So I'm a huge boxing fan, but I think the lack of American star has really hurt the sport.
Well, it's kind of, it's up, like with, okay, so last night we have Vladimir Klitschko, who's best heavyweight. There's Brian Jennings in Madison Square Garden. I didn't even know the fight was going on. That's how far the heavyweight division is fallen. And the Klitschko's...
And it was on HBO, too. If you had HBO, you could have watched it.
Exactly. And you look at the Klitschko's, they're not, they're very skilled fighters, but they fight very boring fights. It's, they're very, it's like, okay, we're going to fight these 12 rounds and we're just going to kind of bore you to death. It's almost like when the Pistons or the Spurs, well, actually, it's more like when the Spurs were in their heyday winning, not that they're not in their heyday now, but when they were winning, when they won in like 07 and 05, those were boring teams to watch. That's kind of like what watching the Klitschko's is. Like, they're good, but they're just not fun to watch. And I think if you put them up like in the 90s, when you were growing up, when I was growing up, Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Tyson at the end even, and then you had like guys like Hasim Rahman, David Tua. You had the heavyweight division, was it amazing? No, but it was still, there was an entertaining fight at least once every 2 months. You don't have an entertaining fight once a month in boxing. You got Bernard Hopkins.
If you know if it's a fight. If it's a fight, you don't know nothing about it. You don't know what's going on.
Also, let me ask you this. How many people do you think actually know what weight class Mayweather and Pacquiao are in?
I don't know. All right, what percentage are we talking about? Like, are you on a percentage on that? Like, probably
I would
less than 10%, probably.
Yeah, I would say even less than that. Like, I don't know what it is, because it's really, I don't know. That's I would say probably 5, maybe 2% that would know what weight class they're in.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it at all.
I can't. Yeah, I can't think of anybody that would know exactly what weight class they're in. And I'll be honest, actually, the other night I was at the bar, and the two people I was with thought Pacquiao Mayweather was a UFC fight. Well, one of the people I was with thought it was a UFC fight, and so I had to correct him eventually that it was boxing. So that's what we're dealing with on who's watching Mayweather Pacquiao.
You're going to have a lot of people that's going to watch just because it's a pretty thing to do, because everybody's going to be watching it. That's the fight. That's one of the biggest fights we've had. That might be the biggest fight that we've had in boxing since Tyson fought Lennox Lewis years ago. That's probably the last biggest fight I can really, think of and on the boxing spectrum. So yeah, I think he's going to have people just come in and watch just because, one, they know somebody that's watching, and two, everybody else is going to watch. So I think that's really the big thing. But to go about your Klitschko thing real quick, they're long. They're tall and they have length, so they're not gonna go in there and try to take blows. So they're gonna use their length against a shorter opponent usually. So that's really the biggest. That's what they do, and then they try to lull you to sleep for 12 rounds. So they're not really knockout fighters. They're just gonna use their long
and one of them's
and,
married.
Oh, it looks like we lost Bob.
Yeah, I'm back. I guess.
Oh, you're
okay.
Back? Oh, thank gosh.
Yeah, it was the 3G. Up your sprint, go to hell, you sons of bitches.
I didn't think anybody still used Sprint.
You were saying about Klitschko. Why would you risk anything at that point if you were married to Hayden Panettiere? Why?
Well, you wouldn't. You really wouldn't. Matter of fact, you shouldn't even be fighting at this point. Just let her. Just let her make all the money. You just sit at the crib like you made your money. Like, just let her make the money.
Yeah, you're a Russian piece. You're basically just a 6'10" Russian guy, and with some boxing talent, and you pulled off the hardest 10 of all time, pretty much. That's what
one of them, and her like young too, like, and she was like 21, 22 when she was first dating. I'm like, and Vladimir Klitschko is like, I mean, my age, so yeah.
She's sexy as hell. She's like, she doesn't get enough credit when they bring up the hottest chicks in America. She's not get mentioned as much as she deserves.
It's people hating on the short women. That's what it is.
Yeah, what is? She's like 5. Okay, well, if you
she's like 5 foot even, like seriously, 5 even.
That's like National Geographic with her and Klitschko.
I'm trying. Yeah, I don't even want to imagine that. But yeah, you got somebody that's like 6 foot 7, 8 with, yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so where does okay? What's your prediction for the fight right now between Mayweather and Pacquiao?
I think, well, this is obviously going to be the hardest fight Mayweather's had. You know, I want to say his career because I hadn't seen his earlier fights, but in recent memory anyway. Obviously, Pacquiao could have challenged him. They've been studying on the film. This is, he's going to give him a big challenge. I think the defense of Floyd Mayweather and his speed and is going to give Pacquiao some problems, and I think it's going to be a really good fight. I think it's definitely Floyd is going to be challenged. He's going to get hit like he's never been before. But at the end of the day, I think Mayweather's going to win the fight just simply because his quickness I think it's going to be too much for Pacquiao, and I don't know how much speed, how much he's going to be able to put on Floyd Mayweather. Even though I do think he's going to get some punches, and he may rock Floyd Mayweather a little bit for a round or so. But I think in the end of the day, I have Floyd Mayweather winning the fight.
Are you with Pacquiao Mayweather? Has the moment passed for you? Because I'm still gonna watch it, but it's not like 5 years ago.
5 years ago, yeah.
5 years ago,
it would have been like that.
Yeah, I would have paid God knows what for it. I mean, I'm still gonna pay $100 for it, but I don't know what I would have paid. You write a blank check for how much I would have paid for Pacquiao Mayweather 5 years ago. Has the moment passed for you? You're going to watch it, but are you as excited as you would have been 5 years ago?
No, I would have been. I wouldn't making. Not saying I'm making a lot of money now, but I wouldn't making the amount of money that I am now, and I would have found a way to pay for it. Like, granted, it might not have been $100 back then, but yeah, I would have paid for it. I would have came out of my pocket. And like I said, I don't like to pay for any pay-per-view type thing. So yeah, I was that excited. 2010, 2011, I was ready for it. I thought it was going to happen. And then like you said, just years and years went by. You didn't think it was going to happen. And finally in 2015, when you have like a 38-year-old Floyd Mayweather, I mean, you kind of like, I don't know how good it's going to be. And Pacquiao has been, he's shown some signs of weakness. He's been knocked out and lost some fights since, over the past few years. So it's kind of taken the sting off the battle, but I still think it should be a pretty good fight. Yeah, but I'm not paying for it, to be honest with you. I will be watching it, but I'm not paying for it.
It's kind of like if we got LeBron, Kobe now.
Exactly. And, it's a similar type thing.
Okay. So No Coast Bias did this article. Derek Hernandez did it. It was the 5 greatest matchups that never happened. And it was like Riddick Bowe versus Lennox Lewis 93, 03 Cubs versus Red Sox 03, Kobe versus LeBron, and I think 09. There's 2 others. I can't remember what they were. I brought up Suns Knicks in 93, Barkley versus Ewing. Like, I thought those 2 teams, that matchup in the finals would have been a lot of fun. A 7-game series, obviously, because the Knicks would have been there. But obviously that one does not make the top 5. But that would have made my personal top 5. What's your number one matchup in any sport that because we get this Pacquiao Mayweather fight that everybody's been talking about for 5 years? What's the one that should have happened that didn't happen for you?
Whew, man, that's really. Yeah, that's a hard question. Like, especially
I know.
Off the top. I mean, just you put me on the spot here. So, definitely. I mean, you definitely think of LeBron and Kobe. I wouldn't say that's number one, but you definitely think that's the matchup that should have happened. I'm trying to think of something. It's one in the NFL. I cannot think of it at the moment to wrap my mind, but I'm trying to think.
Well,
maybe
hold on.
Hold on. I got one in the Minnesota Vikings in '98 against the Broncos. That would have been pretty good.
That was on the list, actually. Yes, that I'm with you on that, because I think the Vikings actually beat. They kind of had, they played well enough to win. Obviously, Gary Anderson just kind of shit the bed.
Yeah.
But you look around with the Vikings, that was one of the best. That offense was way before its time.
Exactly.
Like that was like 10 years before the Patriots started doing their crap, with Moss and everything. I mean, you had Moss, you had Jake Reed as your third receiver, you had Hatchett, you had Chris Carter, you had Robert Smith in the backfield, Randy Cunningham, is your quarterback, and that defense, you had John Randall. I mean, that defense was kind of, it was like that Saints team that wound up winning the Super Bowl. A bend don't break defense and just an incredible offense, and they got beat by a lesser team. And, the Falcons had a great season that year, but they were not even in the same stratosphere as that Vikings team, and that Vikings team would have won the Super Bowl if they get.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I thought the Vikings were the best team in football that year. I mean, that team should have won the Super Bowl, and it was just they were just hitting on all cylinders. It was very difficult to stop, but the Falcons found a way to slow them down, and obviously the Gary Anderson kids really nobody in Minnesota has forgiven them, and until they won the Super Bowl, that's always going to be the case.
No, he should never be forgiven for that ever. Not once, not now, not ever.
He's on the Scott Norwood type of level.
Yeah, he should be tied to a goalpost somewhere and have snowballs thrown at him or something.
But at least he got another job after that. Scott Norwood never kicked to get in the NFL after that.
Yeah, Scott Norwood. I'm pretty sure Ray Finkel was based off of Scott Norwood, pretty much. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. That's pretty much, yeah.
Other than the fact that Norwood never changed his name, got a sex change, and moved to Miami Beach. But okay, a couple more things, maybe one more thing before I let you go. With one of my other things I would have wanted to see was Jordan versus Olajuwon in the finals. We never got to see that.
Yeah.
I think so. Because I feel like that if there was a team to beat them in the finals, it was probably that team. And I mean, we got Magic versus Jordan, but that would have been that's on my top 5 when the moment has passed.
Yeah, that was too little, too late, because Magic was kind of like he wasn't the same player that he was, and not only that, the team wasn't the same.
Kareem was gone.
Mm-hmm. They had Vlade Divac and AC Green and Eldon Campbell. Like that team, honestly, like you look at their roster, like you're like, how did they make the finals in the first place? You really look at the roster.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I don't know how they made the finals with that team. I mean, great coaching job by Dunleavy, but. Was it Dunleavy?
It depends on what year. It depends on what year you're talking about with Jordan and Olajuwon. We got close. And when I'm talking about it, it was 97. That's as close as we ever got to Olajuwon and Jordan matchup. I don't know how it would have turned out, but we got close. But John Stockton really ruined the whole thing.
Yeah, Stockton ruined it. And then I think also a Spurs Bulls matchup would have been kind of fun too. I think those are the two. The Spurs with the first, with Duncan, they might have a chance. They never they got beat by the Lakers, and then the Lakers lost to the Jazz and 4 games that year. But, I mean, you look – actually, okay, either Spurs or Lakers versus the Bulls, really. I think that's one thing we missed out on.
Yeah, I think so. Lakers just wasn't ready though. I don't think they were ready, especially coaching wise. Like they had the roster ready, but they just wasn't. They took them years. Like in the NBA, it's like you almost have to bump your head in order to persevere and get over that hump. That's what it seems like to me in the NBA more than any other sport. Like it's hard to just come in and just win, right away out your first year. You have to go through adversity to get to the top.
And I don't think people truly appreciate how the Lakers turned that. Like that roster was pretty damn good. With you had Campbell off the bench, Eddie Jones. Wasn't Derek Harper on that team? I mean, you had a good roster. You pretty much flipped it all over with putting your trust. I know you get Phil Jackson, but you pretty much turn it all over to Kobe and Shaq, which are 2 good people to turn it over to. But they pushed out a lot of players. And, it wound up working out. I don't think people truly appreciate how good those teams were before Kobe and Shaq, basically put that team on their back and, went the rest.
Yeah, Shaq really helped the team. Like before Shaq came, like the Lakers were kind of like trying to find their way, and then he came and really they became a playoff team and started to get back. And they had Cedric Sabalas, and of course Eddie Jones was there, and they drafted Kobe, and of course Kobe coming off the bench making the All-Star team. So yeah, they had some really, Nick Van Exel. Like we didn't bring him up. Like they had some pretty solid teams.
Well, Antoine, before I let you go, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internets, all that good stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at Antoine Staley. You also find me at Bleacher Report, Pro Player Insiders, Sports Talk Florida, just to name a few places that I write for. And if you want to check out the Chris Rock piece, it's on NGSC Sports, another place that I write for. Or also you can find it on Medium.com under my name, Antoine Staley.
God damn, you are all over the place.
I'm always there, man.
Yeah. Well, Antoine, I appreciate you coming on. Always fun talking to you. Best of luck on your move to New York, and we'll talk again soon, man.
All right, Bob. You take it easy.
All right, thanks. And we will be right back here with an interview I did with Nick Peterson of PopCultureCrunch.com, talking comic books and all things related to comic books here on the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, I never know nobody like you. Ooh, la, 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 ooh, now I know. Baby, you're down the neighbor. Ooh, la, la, yeah, you keep me guessing, I'm confessing now, well, baby, it's true. I never know nobody like you. Baby, you're unenable. Baby, you're a riddle, I'm caught up in the middle of you. I'm trying to think bigger, but I can't seem to figure it through. I wanna make it better, but now I'm scared of looking a fool. Oh, baby, no, I've never been very good at playing it cool. Just when I think I understand it all, I find I know nothing at all. Ooh, I never know
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
There's a reason his initials are BS. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com.
Whatever the hell your name is. No Easy Way Out. Great song. Best song from Rocky IV, where Rocky shifts an abnormal amount of times in his car. More times than is humanly possible when driving a 5-speed. But we're back here with the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. Coming to you right now is an interview I did with Nick Peterson earlier today about the upcoming Avengers movie, Batman versus Superman, Ant-Man, Star Wars. If you're a nerd, you're going to love this interview. Keith, it's not cleaned up, so there's going to be some sidebar conversation that happens from time to time. So, Keith, take it away.
Blog
Let her-
Talk Radio.
This is fantastic right now.
I know. Don't worry, it's going to get better.
It can only go up from here.
Eventually, I will say hello.
We're 25 seconds into this now, and you got a promo for another network.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going well. You good to go then?
Yeah, man. I'm good to go.
All righty, well, I'll go ahead and introduce you, and we'll get going.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Thank you for joining me for another edition of the Bob Sullivan Show here on LateNightSportsRadio.com. Tonight I have on with me from Pop Culture Crunch, Nick Peterson. How are you doing today, Nick?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well. We've, a few weeks, maybe a month ago or two, we had a show talking about the upcoming Batman versus Superman movie. We finally get the teaser trailer about a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
First off, what did you think of the new trailer?
There's a lot of backlash about that trailer. I mean, from diehard fans saying basically, they don't really particularly like it. I think, especially when the time they released it, which was, I think, an hour or two before the Star Wars trailer, so they're trying to garner attention away from Star Wars, which is a good tactic. But, we still have a year out, and everyone's kind of like, well, that's not enough. We don't have enough story in the trailer. I'm not exactly sure what's going to go on. Well, it's a teaser trailer. You're not going to get as much from it. And I like the setup. I like the look, and I think Batman, Ben Affleck will be a good Batman. At least it looks like it.
Did you see what I saw? Did you see Batman with a gun?
Yes, that is a rifle that he used in the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel. So they're trying to bring some elements from the actual comic books to the movie. Obviously you're changing some things so that they make sense with the Man of Steel storyline that they kind of bring from that movie that came out a couple of years ago. So, yeah.
I had some. I thought I saw that correctly, and then I've had a few people talk, criticizing it. I wasn't 100% sure if that was. Yeah, I was just like, I've never seen Batman use a gun, but if you're going up against Superman, you got to kind of pull out all the stops here.
Well, right. Everyone's kind of like, well, Batman doesn't use guns. That doesn't make sense. Well, if you are a true Batman fan, you would have read the most acclaimed graphic novel in DC's line, and that would be Dark Knight Returns, and you would know that he uses a rifle in that change anything by any means. Actually, they're being truer to Batman. So, yeah, that case. There's also some Easter eggs they mentioned in the trailer. I know that I saw a question mark that looked a lot like the Riddler and there's also, I believe, a grave, or there's something in the background in one of the scenes where they showed Ben Affleck, and I think it could be Jason Todd, which is one of the Robins who ends up becoming Red Hood. So I think that they want to incorporate that anti-hero eventually, because once this movie comes out, they're expanding the universe with DC, they're bringing forth a bunch of all these different characters, and then Batman will get his own solo movies, is what I'm guessing.
Do you think they'll go into, this, obviously this is Dawn of Justice, so it's leading into a Justice League movie, but it's also starting some new characters. Do you think, when we last talked, I was skeptical of Ben Affleck as Batman, but then you explained that it was an older Batman. Do you think that this possibly is leading into a Batman Beyond type movie with Batman?
Oh man, I think that would be really, really cool, but it depends. I think they haven't announced anything officially, but with Ben Affleck being in the role right now, I'm not sure if they got him for, because usually if you do a big movie like this, you get an actor, for 3 films, which is what they got Henry Cavill for. So, it'd be interesting, but I just think that if they went that direction, they'd have to cast a new Batman. Or, I guess in this case, Ben Affleck could, essentially play the older version of Batman, and then the Batman from Batman Beyond would be cast by someone else.
See, I could, a lot of people, I don't know how easy it would be to sell Batman Beyond to the general public, because if you haven't watched, I watched the cartoon growing up, and if you weren't in that, it would be like a really kind of unless you read, comic books or you watched the cartoon growing up, it wouldn't be in your wheelhouse. It'd be a tough sell for people younger than us. Do you think that would be an issue?
I think it would be an issue now, but I think if everything goes according to plan, if DC ends up getting these movies out and they become successful, and that lineup of movies ends up becoming a reality, I think they will definitely be able to entertain that. It's definitely a possibility. When everyone already knows who Batman is, and they'll go look into Batman some more, and then there's so many different stories that aren't essentially canon, I guess, to what Superman or Batman does. But there's these side stories, like I said, like Dark Knight Returns, like graphic novel that's not in main continuity, that's essentially borrowed for this Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie. That's what I like. That's what fans want to see on screen. But to have it outright, to have a Batman Beyond movie straight up, yeah, that'll be probably maybe 10 years if everything goes according to plan, and they're able to they already have their fan base set, just like Marvel does now.
Do you think with the way that these movies have gone, or that DC has gone, is there, with the teaser trailer, everybody was kind of disappointed by it, and initially I was too, and I was kind of like, this is, I don't know, there's not enough to sink my teeth into, but then again, it's a teaser trailer. There's been movies that have given out far less in a teaser trailer than this, so I would say, for what it wasn't bad, but also, we're still a year out, and for them to give us a teaser trailer at this point is pretty good. It was supposed to come out this year, and then it got delayed a year. So, are you disappointed at all by the teaser trailer, or do you think that they needed a little more into it?
I was satisfied enough. I wouldn't say that I was kind of blown away like I was with Star Wars. I think everyone will agree that really that took the internet by storm. I think what I should add is that this whole teaser trailer for Batman v Superman, there's the whole thing that director Zack Snyder was doing was, hey, here's a quick a tease, you can get. Well, what did he do? Yeah, he released 5 seconds of the teaser online, and basically he's like, hey, well, if you're still interested, I'm going to sell you a ticket to go see a teaser trailer in the theater. And the internet just got well, basically the internet got hold of the actual teaser trailer and put it online before the day that they were going to set the teaser trailer to premiere in the theaters. So everyone that got a ticket, it's kind of like, well, they were kind of screwed, I guess. And but they were able to get a ticket to go to the movie a week before it actually comes out. But to see it in a theater like that and to get the ticket before the actual movie comes out, I mean, that'd be pretty sweet. But I mean, to answer your question simply, did I think it disappointed? No, I don't think the trailer disappointed at all, in my opinion.
Do you, before we get back to the comics, with the Star Wars trailer, I'm legitimately excited for that movie. And, a lot of people there's people that are upset over J.J. Abrams being able to do both Star Trek and Star Wars. I honestly don't think I know it makes a difference in those communities, but it doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, I grew up on Star Trek Next Generation. I thought, probably one of my top 3 shows I've ever watched. And, for him to do what he's done with Star Trek, I know it's not Next Generation, but what he did with Star Trek, those 2 movies, I thought he did a really good job. And I think he knows that world. And what I saw from that trailer, I thought, that looks like a good Star Wars movie. Like an old, maybe not an old one, but it looks like a new, good Star Wars movie. Kind of a reboot that I think is, is needed after those 3 that came out in the 2000s. What do you think?
Okay. J.J. Abrams he actually admitted that he is more of a Star Wars fan than Star Trek. And, I mean, to me, I view them both as, I like them both. So, in any case, this new Star Trek that they're doing is going to be directed by Justin Lin, and he's going to serve as producer. Justin Lin directed Fast 5 and Fast 6, or Furious 6, whatever the title is, whatever they're going by. So that's who's directing that. And in regards to Star Wars, where was I going with that? I wanted to say that he's a huge fan of Star Wars. So, and yes, the trailer itself is paying homage to the original trilogy, and also bringing something new. And it looks like it's trying to garner new fans, but also appreciate the old fans as well. So it's just like perfect combination in the sense of urgency during the trailer, and awe. And so, I mean, I don't know how long that trailer was, maybe 2 minutes, but totally sold me in the first opening shot. I mean, it's just excellent.
Well, and the music's back too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the music. I'm pretty sure John Williams did the music for the prequel trilogy, but I think the problem, in my opinion, the prequel trilogy kind of more appealed to kids. I mean, especially the Phantom Menace. But John Williams will be back doing the score for this new, the new Star Wars films, and they're essentially trying to do a Star Wars film every single year. So there will be, obviously, The Force Awakens in December. And in the following year, they're going to release Rogue One, which is a prequel. It's right before, it's a prequel to the original trilogy. Basically, where these group of rebels still plans to destroy the Death Star.
So basically, they're kind of going to jump all over the map, really, with these next Star Wars movies.
Well, there's going to be one that's a straight sequel, which is like the one that J.J. Abrams is doing. And then along with that, they're doing these spin-off films that will probably end up having their own sequels. So they're just expanding the universe. So essentially, at least that's what it looks like, is that we'll get a Star Wars film every single year. Once Disney bought the rights to to Lucasfilm, and then they bought the rights to Marvel, but once they bought the rights to Lucasfilm, it gave them all these options. And so, I mean, they had the money to put forth towards making these movies happen, and with talent behind them.
With back to comics.
Sure.
Have you delved into Daredevil yet on Netflix?
I have. I've only been able to watch 3 or 4 episodes so far. I do enjoy it. I think it was a lot grittier than I thought, and especially because I'm comparing it to the movie with Ben Affleck, and it is a lot different, and I think it's a lot better. I mean, they really care about the characters. It's not overdone. And I appreciate everyone that's involved in the series so far, and I hear the rest of it's great. Have you finished it?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I've started watching it. I actually like it better than Arrow. It's a lot darker. I'm right there with you. I think I'm just starting episode 3. It's dark, but it's not too dark where you're just kind of depressed at the end of the episode. Like I like a dark, I like a dark show, but not like I watched the show The Killing on AMC, and then now it was on Netflix, and it was based in Seattle. It was just way too dark. Yeah, I love the show, but by the end of each episode, you're just drained, and I don't have that with the Daredevil. It's dark, but it's not, depressingly dark.
I agree. I totally with The Killing. I mean, I watched the whole series myself, and I really like that show. But yeah, I mean, it was almost like that. Because it was always raining, and it's just kind of like that backdrop was like a character in itself. In regards to the grittiness of the Daredevil TV show, it's like as long as it serves the character, you know what I mean? Like having Man of Steel be dark just because the Nolan Batman films were dark and they were successful. The need to have Superman also be dark is very, very frustrating. So I think it was 2 days ago, someone on the internet decided to do a color correction, I guess, basically give color to Man of Steel and showcase what Man of Steel actually looks like with color and not these dull, neutral colors, and it looks a lot more hopeful. And so it's just the tone sometimes. I mean, you know who Superman is. He's not a dark character. Why make him dark? Is Daredevil dark? Yes. Let's make the tone of the series darker, and that makes sense. It's gritty. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and like you said with Man of Steel, I mean, I know that the Christopher Reeve Superman movies were 30 years ago, but those movies, well, I guess close to 40 now, but you look at those movies, and, I mean, Superman had kind of a sense of humor about him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, like, with Lex Luthor, there was, the kind of the mind games, the battle, the kind of the chess type of thing, a better version of Professor X versus Magneto. But you look at with Man of Steel. I know they didn't have Lex Luthor, but yeah, it was really dark and unnecessary, and I kind of feel like they took the wit away from Superman in that movie.
Oh yeah, they were really trying to focus on like why is Batman so successful? Well, the answer is it's Batman. You don't need to do much to change it. Just follow the comic books. That's all you need to do. Don't overthink it. You know what I mean? Like that's why the Flash TV series is so successful. It's light and it's fun, and it's exactly what Flash is, and it makes sense. And you do that with Man of Steel. I mean, because one of us, and the mindset was kind of like, okay, well, we tried Green Lantern. That was a huge failure. We tried to be true to Green Lantern, and we just couldn't do it. Well, that wasn't the case. The tone wasn't the problem. It was the story, okay? So if Man of Steel was to be written to be, I guess more in the vein of Avengers. And Avengers, the movie itself, not, Iron Man or Thor individually, but itself, like, there's a lightness to it. It's serious at moments, but overall, it's a light film. You don't need to put much seriousness to, and that's what Superman should be. And I hope, I doubt it's going to be, but I hope it'll be like that in a new film, Batman v Superman. But my wish is to shoot Superman in a particular light, and then to shoot Batman in a different one, and so that when they actually do clash on screen, there's an effect. You see what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up. Because it wouldn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense if they're both kind of in the same mentality. Why, if they're the same mentality, the same background, why they would clash? Especially, how they've done these now 4 movies now with the 5th one coming out. It's interesting to bring that up. Yeah, I don't see it making sense that they clash. I mean, obviously they're going to have a clash, but I wish they would have, in this trailer, I do wish we would have been able to see a glimpse of what Wonder Woman looks like. For the love of God, we need that.
Oh, yeah, totally. I just wanted to mention really quick, you were like, I really want to know what the conflict would be between Batman and Superman. Well, they're going to base the conflict on similar conflicts that they may have had in the comic books, but in a recent interview that Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist, had with Jon Stewart on The Daily Show a couple of days ago, if you remember correctly, he was one of the voices in the very, very beginning of the teaser trailer, okay? And so he's not coming out right and saying, oh, it was my voice, but everyone knows it's his voice. And so Jon Stewart asked him, hey, what is the conflict here? I think there's something to that effect. And he responded, he goes, well, you have someone flying around doing these amazing things, and he answers to no one. And then you have Batman, who he's a do-gooder, and he can't have that. You can't have like someone like a loose cannon, I guess, doing whatever he wants to and answers to no one. So I guess in a loose sense, like sort of the background, or excuse me, the backdrop to the conflict. So it'll be interesting to get more details about that. But in regards to the other characters, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Cyborg, the ones that we know are going to be in this movie that we have news about, it'll be exciting to see those, especially with the new trailers that'll be coming out. I mean, I think probably October. Gosh, it's so far away. We'll finally get those nuggets. We'll finally get an understanding of how does everyone fit and how it's all going to make sense. I mean, the movie's called Batman v Superman, but it's going to be everyone else. How are they going to fit everyone in this movie? It seems almost impossible. So there's that to think about.
I'm concerned on that level that, okay, it's good that I'm glad that they can kind of, Marvel kind of was way ahead of the game by releasing like 9 movies to get ready for the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
DC, they're kind of doing, but I think they're taking a big risk. It is a risk to release an Aquaman movie. It's a risk. I guess you saw it with the risk when they put out Green Lantern, albeit it was terrible. But, putting out all these movies before, I think it's going to be tough to cram all these characters into one movie, make it work, and then bring out a DC movie. I think it's going to be tough for them to do that. I'm curious how it's going to work, too.
Yeah, I think there's just a bunch of different opinions online. Obviously, some of them I heard were just like, oh, Wonder Woman's there because she saw Superman reveal himself as a metahuman, and so she and her Amazonians revealed themselves as well. And then there's like rumors about like, oh, Aquaman's pissed because there was that what's it called, the World Engine that was used in the Indian Ocean, so that they were using that kind of like as an explanation as to why Aquaman's there. It's like, hey, what are you doing? So, but yeah, I mean, it's weird. We just don't know. We're way too far out to really know anything and how they'll be involved. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's going to be, I think there was 2 Aquaman movies announced. I mean, if this movie tanks, which I highly doubt it will, but if it does, theoretically, there will be no Aquaman movie to worry about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, this, I am curious about how that's going to work, because I always find, as far as when they do a superhero movie, that less is more with how they, the less storylines you have to tie in, the more smoothly a movie goes. Because, it just, I mean, it kind of goes back to like either the Spider-Man effect or, I mean, really even in Iron Man, I think it was 3, where there's just too many plots to tie together in too little time. and it just by the end you're kind of frustrated. By the end of the movie, there's just too many bad guys, too many loose plots, and then by the end it's just like, what really did we accomplish here? And I think they got a good enough, Zack Snyder and working on this. I think they got a good enough crew around that they won't let that happen. But that's always a concern of mine. Does that worry you at all too?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think that the core of the story will be Batman. And I think that these bigger characters that'll set up the larger universe of DC, I mean, they'll be there, but they'll probably be there very little screen time, if any, in my opinion. So, I mean, that way it can still serve the purpose and the title, I guess, of the movie itself, and then move it. So then we can actually explore these solo movies that'll eventually end up happening. And on the side note, did you see the picture of the Joker on the internet?
With Jared Leto?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did see it. He does look. He looks kind of unfortunate looking. He doesn't look as tough.
Yeah, because everyone's freaking out about that. I mean, in my opinion, I'm like, I don't think they know what they're doing, and I'm not sure if it's an official photo or if it's just like some promotional image, like that's not actually going to be in the movie or not. Because there was some sort of another image online where you can barely make out, but you can tell he doesn't have any tattoos. So it's just, I have no idea. But the internet's just like exploded because there's obviously a lot of Batman fans and Joker fans out there, and it just seems like, where are they going with Joker? Like, what are all these tattoos? I mean, like, he looks, people are saying he looks like Lil Wayne, the rapper, and he actually really kind of does. But it's interesting to see what. Go ahead.
Well, it's not like Joker's supposed to be some, tough badass or anything like that. But I mean, he's smart. He's a sociopath, and he dresses well. And it doesn't look like any of those from what I've seen from this Jared. The Jared Leto one just looks he looks almost like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like Marilyn Manson and Lil Wayne had a baby. I mean, it's almost identical. Like, it's the memes on the internet are just, they're outrageous, but they're really funny. I mean, any of your listeners need to check them out for sure. I was doing a good chuckle. But yeah, I mean, that movie in itself, I'm like, what is going on? So they have Suicide Squad movie with a lot of stars, I mean, including Will Smith, and it's kind of like, I wonder how that's all going to pan out, and especially with how they're using Joker and how they're using, and actually people seem to forget that Lex Luthor is going to be in the Suicide Squad movie in some capacity. So the Lex Luthor we'll see in Batman v Superman will also be in Suicide Squad, maybe like as a bridge character, so that kind of let you know, this is all one big universe, okay? So Suicide Squad is a very, very ambitious project as well, and I think we're going to get that, I believe April of next year? So maybe a couple more, maybe I could be wrong.
It says 2016, so.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, that's also a very ambitious movie that they're, because not many people know about Suicide Squad. That's basically DC's Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm almost positive. They're like, well, we need something obscure that's also really, 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 really creative and has lots of fans built up comic book-wise that we can push out, but then we know that it'll be in the same type of, vein as Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like no one knew anything about Guardians of the Galaxy unless you're a comic book fan, and then you're just thrust into this world, and you're like, wow, okay. So we'll see. I mean, again, we are with DC right now. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see even a year from now, right when we're talking, as to where they'll be in the cinematic showdown that they have against Marvel. So there's just lots of things in the works right now. So and obviously the biggest being Batman v Superman performing well.
Well, and this Suicide Squad, I think this is, I like the, Jared Leto as the Joker. I think that's a good get. Will Smith as Deadshot. I don't, with Deadshot and the Arrow, I'm not sure I buy Will Smith in that role. And then Jesse Eisenberg, I think Jesse Eisenberg plays a good sociopath as Lex Luthor. That's a good fit, I think.
I think so too. I think that there's a lot of backlash when they announced him as Lex Luthor, but I really do think that he'll be a really, really good ad as Luthor.
Yeah, I think he's the perfect Lex Luthor. Like, I can't think of anybody else that, it's important to have a Lex Luthor that one sounds smart and can sound like a psycho, and he's got both of those.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably the whole reason why he was cast though is because of his performance in Social Network. And when you look at his neurotic character, genius, it just kind of really translates to more of a progressive, I guess, more realistic Lex Luthor. So it'll be interesting. I mean, you were right. I mean, when Lex Luthor was portrayed by Gene Hackman in the original Superman movie, and then we have Kevin Spacey, and then same thing with the Joker. There's different incarnations, and so I mean I like that and I appreciate that. I'm not going to agree with them all, but I like the fact that there's variations there, something to explore,
Mm-hmm. As far as so we got coming out Friday, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Do you like the addition of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch into the Avengers?
Yeah. I mean, kind of. I like it. I just kind of wish that my only wish as a comic book fan is that they would use the Quicksilver that they had in the X-Men movie. If you remember X-Men Apocalypse, Days of Future Past. Days of Future Past had Quicksilver in it briefly. And that was probably one of the best scenes in the movie. And I thought that totally nailed the role of Quicksilver. And then you just cast someone new. And they recently announced that Spider-Man is going to be under the Marvel Cinematic umbrella now. Okay, so hopefully they do the same thing with the X-Men, because X-Men is 20th Century Fox, along with the Fantastic Four. And then it used to be Sony was just Spider-Man. Now Marvel's working with Sony to release stuff so basically there's going to be a Spider-Man in the next Captain America movie, I believe. Yeah, that's the third one.
Yeah, isn't it like Captain America Civil War or something like that?
Yeah, based upon yep, that is yep. So I just wish that to your question was, do I like them being added on? Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course I do, but I just wish that they would keep things more consistent. I wish that they weren't tied up. But I mean, I understand why they had to recast. I mean, it's a different movie. It's different property owners. So
with with Ultron, do you like? I think James Spader, has gotten a little too much credit for the Blacklist. Blacklist, good show, but it's not as it's good for network television. It's not, but I don't really buy it as being one of the best shows on TV right now. I just don't.
Totally agree. I mean, I could see why it's very popular. I like the idea behind the show, and I like him in it. I don't like. I mean, but what were you saying?
I said it's like the same. It's like the same plot every episode.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's some secret, and then stay tuned for the next episode for the rest of the secret, which is actually a partial secret to the other secret. Yeah, so it's kind of annoying in my opinion, but James Spader himself, I mean, I think that he played a really good villain. I like his voice. He can be maniacal, but I do think that there's something really that Marvel is lacking. And I think that they're lacking villains that are formidable foes in any regard.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at DC has Joker, Lex Luthor, Darkseid, Brainiac. I mean, you have these known villains, and then when you go to Marvel's side, I mean, it's just I just don't think that the villains are as good as DC's. I guess with all the great things that Marvel's doing right now, that's the one thing I can think of that they're lacking.
The one I guess that has all the good villains is Spider-Man. Like all the memorable villains are with Spider-Man, and those aren't available for the Avengers to fight right now. So that kind of brings and they still have to. Who was the guy at the end of the original Avengers movie? Don't they kind of need to tie him into this at some point?
Oh, the Hydra guy?
Yeah, the guy in space was, I'm going to get you, Avengers.
Dang, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch that.
At the end of the original Avengers movie, there was some villain that was supposed to lead into this one, and that's not, like, it wasn't Ultron. It was, from another dimension. I think it was another...
yeah, it's basically their, gosh, I can't think of the name right now. It's driving me crazy. But it's basically, it's a dark side equivalent for Marvel. Yeah, it's, gosh, it's going to drive me crazy. Yes, you're right.
Thanos,
yes, thank you. Thanos, yes. Basically, Darkseid, I believe Darkseid was created first from DC, and then you look at Marvel created Thanos, but I mean, if you look at them side by side, they're almost identical. They look almost like the exact same villain. And yes, he will be. He's going to be in the two-parter Avengers. I think Infinity War. Yeah, so there's going to be Avengers Infinity War, 2 parts, and it's all going to be about Thanos. So, and Thanos was in Guardians of the Galaxy briefly as well. So, yeah, thanks for reminding me about that.
Which are you more excited for, Sinister Six or Suicide Squad?
Sinister Six, I don't believe it's happening anymore, and the reason being is because once Marvel worked out with Sony, is that it kind of canceled all of those movies that they did announce with Andrew Garfield. So now they're looking for a new Spider-Man, and the new Spider-Man is going to be a teenager. So they'll probably cast someone that's around 16 or 17 years old so that he can play Spider-Man for the next 10, 12 years, okay? So Sinister Six is probably not going to end up happening with all that they're trying to incorporate Spider-Man into Marvel's cinematic universe. So, I mean, Suicide Squad against Guardians of the Galaxy would be probably something I'd be more concerned about, but because they're more similar, in my opinion. But I guess that's not going to come out until like 2018, I think, or 2017. That's still really far down the road.
Yeah, I think it's still 3 years down the road, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But a couple more things before I let you go.
Sure.
What do you expect from Ant-Man? I kind of think I have the same feeling I had about Iron Man. When I first saw previews for Iron Man, I saw Robert Downey Jr. I was like, I don't know. And then, I was like, Gwyneth Paltrow, I don't know. Jeff Bridges, this is a good cast. I can't really buy into Robert Downey Jr. as a superhero. And then you see it, and you're like, okay, this is a good movie. Robert Downey Jr., basically just this cocky superhero. I was like, okay, I like this. And then with Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, I don't know. I have the same feeling I did with Iron Man, where I'm a little skeptical about how this is going to work. I don't think I'm going to have the same good feeling walking away from the theater as I did with Iron Man. But where do you stand right now on Ant-Man?
Okay. Well, with Ant-Man, the first teaser trailer, or whatever it is that they released, it was very underwhelming. I did not like it at all, and I was like, wow, this doesn't look very good. And so then I kind of researched more and more into Ant-Man, and then they just released a new story arc. So I was like, I got to the comic book store, I'll go pick it up, and I was floored. I was like, wow, this is great. This is really good. And so the next trailer that they released, the one I just released, I think last week, I'm really, really interested in this movie. I think that people are casting it aside too quickly. I think that you need to understand what Ant-Man is, or especially the new Ant-Man. You know, there's two different Ant-Mans, but the one they have now, his origin, what he's all about, and I think that you'll really, really like that character. So I'm hoping that the comic book translates into the movie. So I am very, very hopeful with that movie.
Well, and I also like, you know, Paul Rudd's pretty sarcastic. You know, he's got that kind of same type of humor that Robert Downey Jr. has. That I think, you know, where, you know, when they're, you know, when the storyline is going, when they're going through the storyline, they're going through the origins, when it could be a tad boring. I think their personality or their acting can kind of lift up those times when it's kind of, when it would normally be boring, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I guess the best way for me to describe Ant-Man from what I've read about him, the comics I've read, is that he is basically a grown-up Spider-Man. He has the same sense of humor as Spider-Man, but more of in a grown-up fashion, and he's divorced. He has a child that he's trying to take care of while he's trying to make money to support himself. Not even just as a hero, but to support his little girl, and for his little girl to look up to. So I think that there's a lot to relate to with Ant-Man. I just think that they haven't necessarily been showing that character side of him in the trailer, and I think once everyone sees the movie, they'll hopefully get a deeper appreciation for what he's all about.
Well, Nick, last thing before I let you go, do you want to tell everybody where we can find you on Twitter, the internet's, all the good stuff?
The internet stuff, yeah, sure. I'm at Nitro Peterson, Petersen, and my website is popculturecrunch.com. And basically, with the website, let's say I cover the news, but more it's my reaction to it, or my analysis of the movies or TV shows or comic books that are coming out. So I just started it, and really excited about it. So if your listeners want to give that a check out, I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to give it a look today. And I love having you on. Love talking comic books, all types of movies with you. I appreciate your time, and we'll talk again soon, man.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. All right, bye-bye. Nick?
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
There he goes again. It's the Bob Sullivan Show on latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back to the Bob Sullivan Show here at sportsradio.com. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Nick Peterson of popculturecrunch.com. Very knowledgeable in the comic book game. He's like the next Kevin Smith. All right. So this is the last Bob Sullivan Show here on latenightsportsradio.com. I'm here with Keith Grief, producer extraordinaire. Keith, I've been here with, since September? That's the last. Can you do the math? What is that, 7 months?
Yeah, just about 7 months.
Well, the ride is coming to an end here tonight. Keith, I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done for my show. All the alcoholic nights you've put up with over the months. Me not being able to put together coherent sentences and coherent shows. I appreciate everything you've done for the Bob Sullivan Show. Keith, I appreciate it.
And in all honesty, sad to see you go, but you're on to bigger and better things. Wish you all the success in the world, and you were the very first show when we launched in September. So thanks for being part of the first layer of bricks. That's not a basketball reference. That's more like a construction reference. Well,
Keith, again, the first show, it was we've been through a lot together. We've been through it's been a lot of fun with this website. Got the DraftKings. It's been a lot of fun, and again, this if you were here in Omaha or if I was there in New York, I would give you a big hug and maybe pick you up as well.
Ah, jeez, I feel so special, and me without my skirt on.
Well, on that note, shall we do one more set of headlines? We got to go back to when me and Matt did the first couple shows, and they were just terrible. And then after that, we kind of got, kind of a rhythm going, started the headlines. Let's go back to headlines for one more go.
Again, 9 minutes to go here. Can we fill 9 minutes with headlines?
Oh, I can fill 9 minutes with headlines.
All right. All right. Today, in the Celtics-Cavaliers game, J.R. Smith was ejected for a little bit of a sucker move on Jay Crowder. What's your opinion? What should be the punishment, if any?
Well, one, it was a kind of a bad move by JR. I didn't think it was like 90s, 80s. That does not get a flagrant. That doesn't even get a personal foul. I didn't. Jay Crowder kind of injured himself on the play, but I think J.R. Smith, his reputation precedes him. Yes, it was kind of a dirty play, but I don't think. The more I watch it, even in slow motion, I'm not blown away by how physical it is. And again, it's with Boston where J.R. Smith makes a stupid play and might cost his team in the next series if they suspend him from a game. So J.R. Smith, notoriously a dumb player, makes a dumb play, and it might have consequences on his team, especially without Kevin Love. For potentially long-term with this team.
And Kevin Love with the dislocated shoulder, and he did not feel it was an accident, the foul by Kelly Olynyk that caused the injury. So, if it's true and the Celtics are being a little, that game was getting a little too chippy. You hate to see anybody be injured in the long term, and hopefully I have this vision of Kevin Love being like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon, popping his shoulder back in and out of joint.
Well, I saw some story a couple days ago about Kevin Love wanting to be a Celtic long term. And then I saw a story today that said Kelly Olynyk's move may have hindered that because Kelly Olynyk's in their future plans as well. I don't know. I don't think it's that. I think once Kevin Love cools down, I think he'll realize it was not that cheap of a play. I don't. Yeah, Kelly Olynyk was being rough, but I don't think there was any intent of, hey, I'm going to pop this guy. I got this guy's arm under my arm, kind of locked. I'm going to pop it out of its place. Never saw that in the play. If you slow it down, yeah, it looks bad, but watching it in regular time, I think everybody needs to watch things in regular time instead of slow-mo. Everything looks worse in slow motion.
Agreed.
So, I don't know.
Agreed.
That's where I stand on it.
All right. Clippers pull even with the Spurs. Who wins that series?
Unfortunately, this is the only good series in the first round. We have. Okay, so last year, what do we have? Like 6-7 game series in the first round. What did I say a couple of weeks ago? The playoffs aren't, at least the Western Conference wasn't going to be as crazy as we thought. And it's really not as crazy as we thought. Memphis moves on. Golden State moves on. Houston's going to move on. The Clippers-Spurs series is going to be the most interesting one. And then in the East, all sweeps except for, Atlanta's eventually going to take care of business, probably in 5 or 6, and the Bulls will take care of business in 5. So this has been, for how hyped the NBA playoffs have been, this is the worst NBA playoffs so far that I've ever witnessed. Just because of, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like there's any urgency to win from the team. Once the team gets down, it just doesn't seem like there's any urgency, and then the team that takes the lead ends up winning it. But with Spurs Clippers, I don't know. The Achilles injury to Parker really concerns me, and Splitter's health really concerns me. That being said, I think the Spurs wind up pulling it out because I just don't see the depth. The depth of San Antonio, I think, prevails to the lack of depth from the Clippers. I just don't see the Clippers being able to pull it out.
All right, ESPN2 today, while we were on the air, aired coverage of professional video gaming. Heroes of the Dorm. Arizona State versus UC Berkeley. Should we all just drown ourselves and end this civilization?
What video games was it?
It was, what the hell was it called? Hold on. The Heroes of the Dorm. It's some kind of, let me click on the, no, if I click on that, it's going to make me watch it live. I don't want to do that. I know
there's going to be a heck of a lot. Well, the majority of that show is probably masturbating.
I would think.
These are probably dry guys. So there's probably no lotion involved. Probably just dry guys. But we're getting to that point. It's like I said with baseball. Nobody really wants to play baseball anymore because it's boring. And there's things like video games out there that, you can go shoot somebody, have sex with a prostitute, and then go steal a car. And that's a lot of fun. Now we're at the point where that's being televised. You go look at there's this app called Twitch where you can go watch somebody else play a video game. I've done it. I've gone and watched other people play video games. I'm just surprised by how many other people do it. There's not millions, but hundreds of thousands of people watching these other people at times.
Agreed.
And it's just, I don't get it. I really don't get it, how it's even possible. But we're heading to the point where nobody's playing sports anymore. Everybody's playing it on video games. That's it.
All right, final question. This is it. We got 2 minutes left. In light of the Bruce Jenner interview the other night, if you were to change your gender, what would your female name be?
Oh, I thought you were going to say if you were to change your gender, what gender would you change it to?
Well, no, that would be stupid.
If I was going to change, I would probably go Roberta.
Really? You wouldn't get any more
What is-
creative
I-
than that?
Okay, with female name, I'd probably go. I might go African American-y. I might go like Sadie or something like that. Bertha.
That's perfect.
I might become. If I was going to change my sex, might as well change my race as well. I'd become a sassy African American woman.
Just be careful, guys, if you're in the Omaha area and you meet a rather unattractive woman named Bertha. Just be careful.
I was on, when I used to do games on my show, this one game I did was the Plenty of Fish game, and the Craigslist game, you would occasionally come across a tranny. And those were always interesting reads for the well, thank you for everything you guys have done for me. Good luck. And that'll do it for the Bob Sullivan Show on LateNightSportsRadio.com. Good night.